Hey, what's going on everybody? List of Legends here, bringing you another list. In our list today, we continue our series of the endless era of reboots and spin-offs. This time it's going to be Scooby-Doo. Now as you probably figured out, Scooby-Doo comes in many different series that it's impossible for me to cover them all. So today I'll be talking about a few of the most popular ones, and decide whether or not the series is a good representation for the continuation of Scooby-Doo. Lastly, before we begin, make sure to click that like and subscribe button if you like my content. It really does help out the channel, guys, so please give this video a like if you like it. With all that said, let's begin. Scooby-Doo is one of those cartoons that constantly go through drastic redesign and has been around for a pretty long time, since the original Scooby-Doo series aired all the way back in 1969. The concept of the show is pretty simple. You have a small group of hip teenagers and their talking dog Scooby-Doo as they band together to solve mysteries. With a plot this simple, it really does open the door to so many adventures, like having the gang look at that old abandoned mansion trying to solve mysterious hauntings that have been occurring. For the most part, everyone always acts the same, with Shaggy and Scooby always being hungry and scared to solve the mystery, but also acting as live bait to catch the monster, while Freddy, Daphne, and Velma traps the bad guy, soon unmasking him and explaining how they found out who he was. Over the years, Scooby-Doo spin-offs and reboots began spreading like wildfire. It was like there was never going to be the end of them, and to this day that remains to be true. As time goes on, the amount of Scooby-Doo series will continue as well. Most of them don't end up getting the light of day and end up not getting past season 1, which is to be expected when we're getting pure quantity over quality in most cases. So looking at the most popular reboots and spin-offs, the one that most probably grew up on is What's New Scooby-Doo that came out in 2002. This spin-off series gave us pretty simple plots, like one where the gang is at a video game convention store and they have to find out who messed with the robot toys, or a giant Shaggy monster terrorizing Tokyo. Simple but effective. It seemed this series really went all in, everything flowed through very well and nothing felt too boring or out of place. It really did do everything perfectly and even had one of the best theme songs I've ever heard in my life. Speaking of the music, a lot of the chase music really felt like it belonged in the episode, and overall, it made for a pretty good time. I mean, come on, it's Scooby-Doo, they couldn't possibly mess it up, right? Well, wrong. In 2015, we get introduced to Be Cool Scooby-Doo, and I just have to say, what am I looking at? The animation and style is just so anti-eye candy to watch. It's like my eyeballs are gonna throw up. This doesn't look nor feel like Scooby-Doo at all, and overall looks like a big mouth version of Scooby-Doo, and I don't know how or why anyone would consider this garbage good. So with that being said, how does the show overall pan out, you may ask? Well, it's pretty hit or miss on the jokes, like they feel way too dragged out, and they made a couple of changes to the Scooby-Doo formula. For example, they made Daphne the funny sidekick in a way, kind of like how Patrick Star is to SpongeBob. Now this isn't that big of a deal, since she hasn't really had much character change to begin with. She's always that person that likes Freddy, so you can't really complain too much. Up next, let's talk about Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, and I'm just gonna say right now, yes, it's an incredible spin-off, and one of my favorites for good reason. This Scooby-Doo takes the same old formula, but turns the style of Scooby-Doo into a darker tone. Kinda reminds me how SpongeBob was in seasons 1 to 3. But not only that, Mystery Incorporated seems to appeal to older audiences as well, since the show dives into the gang's personal relationship, with Daphne and Freddy being in a relationship, and Velma and Shaggy being in a relationship, all except poor Scooby-Doo. It really seems they went all out with this series, bringing us the same old Scooby-Doo formula, but in a more explored way. The traps and monsters are already feeling more and more intense, and it feels like you're actually there with the characters. Another thing that I think is pretty cool is we get more lore into the Scooby-Doo universe when we meet some of the gang's parents, all of which are very nice icing on the cake and really dives more into the characters. Overall, Mystery Incorporated really gives you that dark, gloomy feeling, especially when compared to what we're used to in Scooby-Doo cartoons. Lastly, let's talk about a pup named Scooby-Doo. And usually my first thought is that turning a popular show's characters into toddlers trend was getting really annoying, like we've seen it with Drama-Rama and Camp Coral, so how does it work for Scooby-Doo? Well, actually it works out pretty darn well, with the same old characters we all know and love just as toddlers, showcasing their hometown of Coolsville. The show has a very fast pace to it, like there's always something on screen to grab your attention. Of course, with the mystery gang being turned into toddlers, we also get introduced to one of the funniest characters of all time, the town's bully, Red Herring. I don't know, I just think it's pretty hilarious to see Freddy blame everything bad that happens to him on Red Herring, and it makes for a pretty good gag throughout the show. It's pretty sad we don't get to see him appear in any other Scooby-Doo series, which is such a shame because he's one of the funniest characters. You'd think by now that seeing Scooby-Doo as much as we do would get really stale, and sometimes it really does, but as time goes on, so will Scooby-Doo, with each generation being able to look at the show in a whole new way. Overall, what I'm trying to say is I don't think Scooby-Doo will be going anywhere anytime soon, and hey, maybe that's not such a bad thing. We'll get a few gems in the franchise like Mystery Incorporated and a pup named Scooby-Doo. None of that, whatever this trash is. But what do you guys think? Was a pup named Scooby-Doo one of your favorites too? Let me know in the comments down below. So alright viewers, I think we can cross off the endless era of reboots and spin-off series for Scooby-Doo on this list. Let me know what list you'd like to see next. With all that said, I look forward to seeing you with our next list.